Dan Willever. I'm the 2019 recipient of the Milken Educator Award for the great state of New Jersey. And this is a podcast produced by Milken Educators of the Mid-Atlantic. And I'm very excited today because we are joined by a special guest hailing from the Midwest, Miss Tiffany Shelton, a 7th grade social studies teacher, current affairs and high school sociology teacher. Welcome, Tiffany. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very exciting. So, Tiffany, could you just please share with us a little bit of your background? My understanding is that you weren't always a classroom teacher, but you've been in education for a while.
Yes. So my first, I guess, run with education was actually I was working at a group home for individuals with disabilities, and that kind of started my idea of wanting to be able to educate, different individuals and helping them be successful. And, I was seeing a lot of just problems in their lives. And I really wanted to be able to have a pinpoint, spot, I could help them more, I felt like as children, and get to them before, they became adults. And so I decided, you know what, I think I'm going to go into, into education. So I started a career as a para, and I worked for about 5 years as a para. And I loved it so much. I worked in a high risk room, and then also like a level 1 room, high functioning children who have, basic reading, speech goals for their IEPs. And I just loved it so much. I continued to love it.
That's so great. And of course, we're recording this in the middle of Teacher Appreciation Week. So thank you for all that you have done in education and all that you continue to do in education. I'm wondering if you could lay out for us that jump that you decided to make just a few years ago, right? From being a paraprofessional to now working as a classroom teacher. What went into that decision?
I really enjoyed the classes that I was a para in. I was in a lot of history classrooms and a lot of language arts classrooms, and I just saw the passion that other educators had, and the amount of compassion and the amount of drive that they had, with their job and with their students and those relationships they were building. And for me, that was, the biggest part is I saw that drive that they had. And I really wanted to be able to help students. I felt as a para, I only had a handful of students I was working with. And I thought, as a teacher, hey, maybe I can, touch a few more students. Maybe I can help them a few more with things that they need. And so that was kind of what started, I guess, my path.
Amazing. And my hope was that you could share a little bit more specifically about the story of that journey, because you were doing this at a really challenging time for everybody in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, but certainly to be in the field of education, you were making this transition. So what were some of your hopes during that time period, and what were some of the challenges that you faced?
I guess the biggest thing was, I'm a non-traditional student. I'm 36. I didn't, I had a family. I had, 3 kids at home. I was a single parent, working as a para, and I was attending night school at a community college, just online. So I was working during the day as a para and then going to school at night. I'd be up till midnight and, up at 5 a.m. the next day. And I did that for a full 2 years. So that was one of the biggest challenges. And so, my hope was always during that time, like, okay, I'm just, one class at a time, one semester at a time, I'll be able to get through it. And, thinking back on it now, I don't know how I ever got it done with the amount of hours I spent studying, because I did graduate with honors also. So that, that was something that I was happy for my kids to see that, and I wanted other students to see that too, that, you don't have to be, a traditional student, to make that jump.
No doubt at all. There's a lot of different pathways to get where we want to be. And I mean, props to you. Congratulations for just doing such excellent work in the midst of such trying circumstances.
Yes. Well, and then with COVID, it was even more difficult because, then our classes had moved online. So I had kids at home, trying to help them learn during the day. And then I was, online. And then I had another child in mix of this. So I was also pregnant, walking all the way across campus. I had my daughter like 2 weeks before I started my first student teaching. experience. And so it was, it was a little hectic, but I figured it out. And, so now I have 4 girls. My oldest is 16 and my youngest is 2. So it's it was kind of hectic to figure that also out. But I'm obviously now I'm glad I did.
You were navigating a lot all at one
Oh,
time.
yes.
That's incredible.
Well, and I coach Special Olympics also. So that's something else that I've been doing. I've been doing that for 12 years.
Oh, that's
So
great.
I originally thought I was going to go into special education, but then I just saw so much the love for history that I have, and I saw that with some of the other teachers that I was working with in their rooms, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to teach history, and then here I am.
Well, as a social studies teacher myself, I can definitely appreciate that. How would you say that your experiences working as a paraprofessional now shape your work as a classroom teacher?
Oh, they helped me so much. Had I not been a para, I think I would have probably struggled a little bit more, in a lot of my education classes, because things came a lot easier to me. I saw the day-to-day life that you're in as a teacher, and I saw all the work that the teachers put in, and how much passion, how much heart they put into everything that they do every single day. And that just kind of, I guess, lit a fire under me, and to also have a bigger respect for the paras, because our para educators are an essential part, of our school. And without them, it would be so much more difficult for some of our students to navigate day to day.
Kind of building upon that, do you have any advice for fellow teachers who work regularly with paraprofessionals? Like, what should we be thinking about in the midst of all the other things we have to be thinking about, of course, but how can we empathize with the work that paraprofessionals do and why they're so important and how we can show them that they're valued?
Well, I think that, even just doing simple things is telling them thank you, making sure that they're thanking them each day, helping to direct them to, extra things that they need to do. Because, I can think of the time as when I was a para that, I don't feel like I really had a very great training, on what I needed to do. And so a lot of the times it's in the teacher's hand to really teach them what that role needs to be. So, making sure that we're providing that for our paras and providing that structure, like from the administration side, is going to help those teachers and those paras so much, and to build a better relationship. Because I think a lot of the times, paras are pulled in 25 different directions. And if we are able to, as teachers, tell them, this is what I'd like you to do for the day. Can you help me with this? And, are you struggling with something? Is there something that, that I can help to teach you so that you can help teach the students, in this way? And just constantly telling them they're, appreciated. And, I think the biggest part is that we, as a society, need to start valuing our paras even more, because most of them aren't making a living wage. I mean, they're barely making, they're making more McDonald's, than what our paras are making, and that's frustrating as a teacher to see that's the value that, the federal government has put in right now into our education system. And so I think that doing those kind of things is going to help them see so much more that they're valued, and will help us keep quality paras, in the profession.
You certainly have a very unique story. I'm wondering if you have any advice for other paraprofessionals who maybe are inspired to follow your path into becoming a classroom teacher. What would you tell them that you've learned from your experience?
Well, I've definitely learned that you can do it. Don't ever think that you're incapable of doing it. If I'm able to do it with all the things that were stacked against me, you're able to do that. And there's so many programs, like the state that I live in now has a program with actually partnering with the schools, and a lot of schools are now doing that, where they're partnering with those schools to help them, work as a para and then go to school also. And some are even paying for school, some are paying, there are grants that are available. I mean, there's so many options that are available. You can do it, you really can. And I highly recommend that every teacher work as a para for a year before they go into education, because that will give you so much insight into, how to build those relationships. And a lot of times, our paras have better relationships than some of our classroom teachers have with the students. They work more directly with them, And sometimes when you have a group of 25 kids, it's a lot easier for a pair to build that relationship first, so, continue to build relationships, take advantage of all the wonderful teachers you have, with you, and know that you can do it. You can do it. I mean, it'll be hard, but it'll be worth it.
That's great. And I'd like to finish by asking you, in the midst of all the challenges and struggles in our education system right now, a lot of roadblocks that teachers are up against, and a time where maybe a lot of educators or paraprofessionals aren't feeling valued, what's something that you do or that helps you to find joy as an educator?
So, I mean, obviously this week we're, a little bit more appreciated, but for me, it's the students, the students that, come back to me 5-10 years later, that say to me, you know what, Miss Shelton, you made such a big impact on my life. You were there for me. You were able to help me. I just had a note from a student the other day that told me that I was the only class she attended every day. And it's those kind of moments that make you feel great to be an educator, or when you have a student who comes to you that tells you about something traumatic that happened to them and they didn't share it with their parents, but they shared it with you, or when you have an LGBTQ student who comes in and into your room and talks to you about their struggles and they say, you know what, I haven't came out to my parents yet, but I feel comfortable with you. I feel like I can talk to you about anything. Those are those moments why we really go into education. We don't always go into education for the content. We don't always go to teach them, independence, 1776. Those aren't the things we go into it for. We don't go into it for the pay. We go into it because we build those relationships and we can foster, that relationship with the students that they think about for the rest of their lives, and they figure out what they're passionate about. We show them what we're passionate about and they're able to figure that out for themselves. And that's our goal, overall. At least that's my goal, is that if I can help one student figure out, what they want to do in life, if I can help one student figure out that, maybe I don't want to go to college. Maybe I want to go to trade school. Maybe I want to go and be an artist. Maybe I want to backpack in Europe. If I can help a student to figure that out, that means I did my job successfully.
And there's no doubt that this is a career filled with some big moments, but a lot of little moments that add up to a really, really meaningful experience. A great educator, a great former paraprofessional from the Midwest, Tiffany Shelton. Thank you so much for joining us here on Education Adventures. Once again, for the Milken Educators of the Mid-Atlantic, my name is Dan Willever. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Take care.